So there's a lot of questions around whether or not you should go on an appointment or not go on an appointment. There's a lot of things going through our mind. Is this appointment a waste of time? I got to drive across town. A lot of you have asked questions, Brandon, how do I determine whether or not I'm going to go on this appointment? Well, I want to give you guys something to think about. And this took a long time for me to really understand as well. So I'm going to give you two scenarios to consider. And the first thing I want you to think about is anytime you are in the process of making a decision as to whether or not you're going to go on this appointment or not go on the appointment, I want you to, for 1 minute, zoom out from this one decision and look at your business holistically, right? 30,000 foot view, looking down at your business over the course of the entire year. And I want you to think about these two scenarios. Number one, let's pretend for a second, okay? Because what we're going to look at is what is more likely. What is more likely? Not what you will or you won't do, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. We're looking at what is more likely. So let's pretend for a second that it's going to, in order for you to set one qualified listing appointment, where you are literally going to the appointment to present your case and hopefully get the listing where the seller signs the contract. We will call that, for the sake of this video, a qualified listing appointment, okay? Let's pretend on average, because this is what the stats actually show over tracking agents' businesses over the past 5 years, that it takes you 100 conversations with homeowners to get one of those. 100 conversations, one qualified listing appointment. And let's also make a huge, massive assumption that you are going to prospect every day. Now, and a lot of you are laughing right now saying, Brandon, I don't prospect every day. Come on, give me a break. Well, jokes aside, let's pretend that you do. And most agents, if they prospect for hour and a half, or 2 hours a day, are going to get somewhere between 10, 15, 20 contacts per day. Okay. Now, if you did that every single day, and it took you 100 conversations to get one qualified listing appointment, that would assume you would go on 2 qualified listing appointments per month. Okay. None of you would say, well, if you set a qualified listing appointment, none of you would question going on that appointment, correct? Now, 2 a month, 24 a year. Let's also assume on average, you are going to convert 50% of your listing appointments into listings taken. Well, obviously that, you just do some simple math, you're going to get 12 listings for the year. Now, nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely a good strategy. It's what is being taught in the industry, as all of you probably know. Well, let's look at a different case scenario. Let's pretend you're going to focus all of your time, energy, and effort on getting face-to-face preview appointments with for sale by owners, expired listings, absentee owners, probates, attorneys, sphere of influence. Doesn't matter about the lead source. You are going to shift your strategy from setting listing appointments to setting face-to-face preview appointments. Okay. Now, here's what the math looks like. We know that it only takes about 3 to 5 conversations for you to schedule one face-to-face preview appointment. Okay. Scenario 1 was 100 to 1. Now it's about 3 to 5 to 1. Okay. It's going to take you about 30 minutes a day of prospecting. So the first question is, what is more likely? Is it more likely for you to prospect for 20 to 30 minutes a day consistently, or an hour and a half to 2 hours a day? Be honest, that's the first assumption. Okay. We're looking at this over the course of time as a science project. Okay. As a scientific research project. Okay. So what is more likely? Now, if you were to do that and you only scheduled 10, you only went on 10 preview appointments per month, or 120 scaled out over the course of a year, well, doing the math based on our averages. This is average. Sometimes people do more, sometimes people do less. On average, you're going to turn 35%. You're going to convert 35% of your preview appointments into an actual listing appointment. Okay. So if you go on 120 preview appointments for the year, that will yield you 42 listing appointments. Unlike the 24 from scenario 1, this strategy will get you on 42 appointments over the course of a year. Let's keep the same 50% conversion ratio. You yield 21 listings. You double your production going through a preview strategy methodology versus the first methodology. Now, can you make a bunch of different arguments either way? Certainly. But here's what I know. What I know is that if you, an agent, is constantly on a face-to-face appointment, your motivation is high. I know that if you are getting wins when you're prospecting on the phone for a short amount of time, your motivation is high. It's another win. What I also know is it's very unlikely, it's very rare that an agent's going to sit their rear end in a seat and prospect for 2 to 3 hours every single day, 5 days a week. I know, and you know, that is very difficult to do. It's very rare that we're going to find an agent that's going to do that consistently 240 times over the course of a year. Well, what is the point? The point is, if you go with strategy 1, right, after the qualified listing appointment, no one's arguing that that doesn't work. What the argument I'm making is it more likely for you to get enough of those appointments because of how much prospecting you're going to have to do, or is it more likely for you to do a lot less prospecting? Yes, go on more face-to-face appointments. I believe at the end of 12 months, you are going to find yourself taking way more listings. And this is just in theory. This is what I've proven in my business, and dozens and dozens and dozens of other agents right here in our FSBO training program. I've interviewed them on my YouTube channel. You guys have seen them as part of this program. That is the reality. So when it comes down to, should I go on this appointment? Should I not go on this appointment? Don't think about it in this in a silo. Don't think about it in like this one decision. Think about it holistically. Zoom out and look at your business 30,000 foot view and say, wait a minute, stop making decisions in a vacuum, right? Start making business decisions, looking at your business as on an annual basis. And I think you'll start making the decision-making process easier. And then the other thing is, certainly there are appointments and preview appointments that are better than others. So imagine a world, imagine how excited you would be if you, not only did you set 10 preview appointments, but all 10 preview appointments were scheduled, were set with the expectation that when you went on that appointment, that the purpose of the appointment was to have a simple meeting with no expectations of doing business together, but only to look at a strategy that we can consider down the road. Now, I just interviewed the author of The Only Sales Guide You'll Ever Need, Anthony Iannarino. He and I spent about an hour on this concept. And he and I are in complete alignment that if we can get you guys and girls, when I say you guys, it means women and men, if we can get real estate agents, if we can get salespeople to focus on the face-to-face appointment, chances are you have a higher likelihood of succeeding than if you are trying to prospect for hours and hours on end, looking for these home runs. So that's the point. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can look at this and say, okay, the next time I look at a decision as to whether or not I'm going to go on this appointment, you can think back to the stats. And I'm going to make the argument that you're better off going on the appointment than not going on the appointment. Now you'll argue, yeah, maybe not this one, but if you did that consistently over 12 months, I think you come out ahead. hopefully that makes sense for you guys. If you have additional questions, let me know. Just comment on this post or on this video here, and then we can have some nice dialogue.